I actually got called back to my high school, and it's like, oh, I know you've been having some success as a composer. We'd love to try an original work. I'm like, oh, sure, let's go for it. I was doing a lot of television style, film style music of that, more textural and exciting kind of thing, and it works really well for a marching band program. So I did that. Took like I don't think it took like 5 or 6 months to get the product ready to perform. And actually, that first piece was the first national title it brought in. So I'm like,
hey, all right.
I guess this is a thing. So from there on, it was like, yeah, how can we improve? How can we make this better? How can we tailor this for different things? And it's been a fun adventure, but it's interesting. I mean, the how is very interesting because it's so personalized. Every high school, every ensemble is capable of their own strengths. So even from year to year in the same school, it's like, oh, well, this year we've got a really good trombone section. Like, oh, okay, well then let's change the angle here. We're going to write in a style that really emphasizes the middle voice, or worse. It's like, not worse. I shouldn't say worse, or different. Like, yep, we got 4 tubas this year, but we only got 3 flutes. I'm like, all right, well, hey, let's find a way to emphasize your strengths. So that's where the national title thing comes from. It's like you really got to know the ensemble and what they're capable of.
So how does a national title get won?
Well, they're competitive marching bands, so they have anywhere between a handful to 10 or 15. I guess not 15, that's too many, but usually around 10 is the max of competitions through September through November. And eventually you have rankings, you hit the state championship, and then from there you go to the national championship. And it's just hopefully you can get all the way down to that good seed at the end, and boop, hopefully you can pull out a win. And it's tough. There's some real competition out there. I mean, New Jersey, there's plenty of talented schools out there. So it's fun. But, my engagement as a composer, I try to get there as much as I can, because what you thought would work, and, you go to the first rehearsal and it's usually a disaster because you're trying to read this high level music right off the bat, and it never works out. So you don't really exactly know where it's going to end up, because they're going to be rehearsing this multiple days a week for months. So they can really hone it to be what you want. So I might step in a couple weeks away from the end of the season, and I'd be like, oh, I think that section they got that. It's nailed. It's great. Let's freshen it up. Let's make it harder. Make it challenging. Let's make it more engaging. Let's really emphasize the emotion in this section to really play with the color guard that might be using this color palette. You really just got to tie the package together and tighten it up. So I do lots and lots of edits and
iterations too. It's an iterative process. So you're actually going back over time with the high school ensemble, seeing sort of what they're able to handle, because at that point in time they've maybe been playing their instrument for 3 years, maybe 5 years, but it's not been a terribly long time.
Right.
And so you're kind of going through each year, each ensemble, each composition, going back, changing, fine-tuning, making something harder, making something easier. It's a really fascinating process.
Yeah, and it's very rewarding for me because I get to interact with all these people and the directors and the students themselves. And it's one of the most rewarding things is when I see the students, I see their eyes just widen when they get the music for the first time. Like, how does that work? I'm like, trust me, it will work, but you gotta take the time. You gotta take that instrument out of home and really, really practice it. And when they finally have the first show, like 7 weeks into the season, and they nail it, you're like, that's it. Like, now you get it. And they you see it, the light bulb goes off. Like, holy crap, that was so cool. Like, exactly. So I love watching the process. You don't really get that spark with professionals so much because they can do it. They don't have that kind of light bulb moment of, wow, that was great, because they've experienced it hundreds of times over. So I love that. It's such a fun process to see them really get involved. And
yeah, for sure. And it's almost like you're actually contributing on a teaching level too, because you have to, it's almost like developing a curriculum, because you have to figure out how hard you can make it. You figure out how quickly to introduce new concepts. Very, very fascinating.
Yeah, very often I have, because it's a high school ensemble, you have freshmen and seniors in the same group. So very often I'll have like the A and B flute parts. And they're playing the same part, but that that septuplet run might only be 2 notes for the B part. So
Right.
it is an educational process, and that's even better because the freshman can see, oh wow, I can do the A part in a couple years. Wow, this is going to be great. So it's very fun. It's a very fun process, and yeah, it's very rewarding.